Picture this. It's the early 20th century, and Dublin is a city on fire. I mean, it's a place of incredible poverty, but also simmering revolution and this amazing artistic spirit. And right in the middle of all that chaos was one man who would give a voice to the people history usually just forgets.
So today we're diving into the story of Sean O'Casey. This is the guy who came from the Dublin tenements himself, and he used the stage not just to entertain, but to show the raw, unfiltered, and often really inconvenient truth of the world around him.
To really get O'Casey, you first have to understand the world that made him and the totally unique style he came up with to tell its story. He wasn't just writing plays. He was putting real life in all its messy, complicated glory right there on the stage for everyone to see. Now, O'Casey's secret weapon was something called tragic comedy. See, he understood this deep truth about the people of Dublin, that even when things are at their absolute worst, they find a way to laugh. By mixing that dark, biting humor with real tragedy, he painted this full, complex picture of their struggle to survive.
And what's so important to remember is that O'Casey wasn't some outsider looking in. Nope, he was born and raised in the Dublin working class. He lived through all the massive political upheavals that shaped modern Ireland, and that firsthand experience, that became the heart and soul of his most powerful stuff.
And he captured this whole intense period of turmoil in 3 absolutely groundbreaking plays. They're known as the Dublin Trilogy, and each one is like a window into a critical moment in Irish history, but, and this is key, it's always seen through the eyes of the ordinary folks caught right in the middle of it. Okay, so the first play, The Shadow of a Gunman, drops us right smack into the Irish War of Independence. But we're not on the battlefield. Instead, we're inside a tenement building, where a simple rumor or what people think you are can literally be a matter of life and death.
And this gets to one of O'Casey's biggest points, that huge, dangerous gap between the romantic idea of being a hero and the brutal reality of violence. He's basically critiquing the whole glorification of war by showing that it's the everyday people who end up paying the real price. He really digs deeper into these ideas in his next play, Juno and the Paycock, which a lot of people say is his absolute masterpiece. With this one, he takes us right into the heart of a Dublin family just trying to hold it together during the Irish Civil War.
The story is all about the Boyle family. You've got the mother, Juno, who is this incredible symbol of strength and resilience, while her husband, Captain Boyle, just escapes into drink and fantasies. It's a brilliant way to show how the chaos of a nation just makes the personal problems behind closed doors 1,000 times worse.
All right, for the final play in the trilogy, O'Casey decided to tackle the single most sacred event in modern Irish history, the 1916 Easter Rising. And let me tell you, he did not pull any punches.
This play was totally explosive. He didn't show the rising from the viewpoint of the heroic leaders we all read about. No, he showed it from the perspective of the people living in the tenements, whose lives were completely torn apart by it. He put the focus on the women and dared to question the very ideals the whole rebellion was built on.
So, if you look at the trilogy as a whole, the main takeaway is pretty clear, right? O'Casey uses these huge historical events not as a reason to wave a flag, but as a backdrop to explore the deeply personal and often tragic consequences for the people who had no choice but to live through them.
Now, as you can probably imagine, that kind of raw honesty, well, it didn't sit well with everyone. In fact, his absolute refusal to romanticize history would end up sparking one of the most famous controversies in the entire history of Irish theater.
It sounds like something out of a movie, doesn't it? Can a play actually start a riot? Well, for Sean O'Casey and his most controversial work, the answer was a definite, loud, and resounding yes.
The audience was absolutely outraged. I mean, they felt O'Casey was desecrating a sacred national memory by showing revolutionaries as flawed, even scared, human beings. And by focusing on the devastating costs to the poor, he questioned the whole idea of heroic martyrdom. And for that, the theater just exploded into chaos. After the riots and all the bitter fallout from the play, O'Casey basically went into self-imposed exile. He left Ireland for England. But he never, ever stopped writing. And he never stopped focusing on Ireland and the human cost of conflict. In fact, being away from Dublin might have freed him up to evolve his style in some really fascinating ways. So, you know how the Dublin Trilogy was all about that gritty, in-your-face realism? Well, his later work, like a play called The Silver Tassie, which was about the absolute horror of World War I, got way more experimental.
He started using things like surrealism and symbolism to show the deep psychological wounds of war. The kind of damage that you just can't portray with simple realism.
And if all those incredible plays weren't enough, he also took on the monumental task of writing his own life story in a massive, sprawling 6-volume autobiography. This wasn't just a memoir. It was an epic literary project that gives you this unparalleled, deeply personal look at the man behind all these words.
So that brings us to the big question. Why are we still talking about a playwright from Dublin a whole century later? What is it about his work that feels so timeless and powerful?
I think this quote really nails it. O'Casey's true genius was his incredible empathy. It was his ability to find humor in the middle of sorrow and find tragedy hiding in laughter. He just gave us a complete, honest, and profoundly human picture of what it's like to be alive during extraordinary times.
So in the end, O'Casey's legacy is that he forces us to look past the grand headlines and the official history books. He demands that we always look for the personal stories, the messy, complicated human cost that's hiding behind all the big narratives about nations and revolutions. And that really is the vital question Sean O'Casey's work leaves all of us with. It's a question about who gets remembered and whose suffering gets ignored. And that question is just as urgent and important today as it was in the Dublin of 100 years ago.